tonight, because of what we did on this day, in this election, at this defining moment, change has come to America.
When audacious hope became reality, Barack Obama is the 44th President of the United States of America.
He won emphatically and drew praise even from his sworn enemies. As a president, he said, for all the people.
But the in-tray groans under the weight of Iraq, Afghanistan and a global recession. Also this lunchtime,
his fight is over. John McCain, gracious and conciliatory in the face of democracy's judgment.
The American people have spoken, and they have spoken clearly.
So a watershed for America as it turns its back on prejudice to choose a black leader.
Obama! Obama, yeah!
And across the states, they knew what they'd done and they liked it.
Good afternoon and welcome to Wednesday's Lunchtime News. He touched a chord with a new coalition of voters who responded in record numbers to redraw the political map of America.
Young first-time voters, blacks and Hispanics, even the doubtful white working class, they overwhelmingly backed the vision of Obama over the tarnished record of the Republicans.
And in a landmark acceptance speech, the 44th President of the United States acknowledged the trust they had placed in him and the burden they'd put upon his shoulders to make good their economy, our economy, and a troubled world. And then they partied. Mark Austin is in Washington, D.C. Mark.
Thanks very much indeed, Alastair. Welcome to Washington and to a very different America. What a night. Overnight, there's been a seismic shift in this country. It was a night when America swept away the old and looked forward to the new. Barack Obama's stunning victory has changed so much here. Outside this White House and right across America, they've been dancing in the streets celebrating the election of the first African-American to the presidency. It was a conclusive win for Obama, an overwhelming defeat for McCain, and a clear-cut rejection of President Bush. Paul Davis reports now on a night when history was made in America.
Aware that history was being made and desperate to be a part of it, to be there, Barack Obama supporters gathered in Chicago's Grant Park in the early hours of this morning, waiting for their man and confirmation that he and they had realized a dream.
11 p.m. on the East Coast. We're back on the air, and we have news. There will be young children in the White House for the first time since the Kennedy generation.
Then words that have been used before, but now it's official.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next First Family of the United States of America.
This was that historic moment, its significance so great, for a while words seemed unnecessary. America's new first family, savouring the moment and everything it means.
If there is anyone out there who still doubts that America is a place where all things are possible, who still wonders if the dream of our founders is alive in our time, who still questions the power of our democracy, tonight is your answer. It's been a long time coming, but tonight, because of what we did on this day, in this election, at this defining moment, change has come to America.
To his beaten opponent, he offered respect.
A little bit earlier this evening, I received an extraordinarily gracious call from Senator McCain. Senator McCain fought long and hard in this campaign, and he's fought even longer and harder for the country that he loves. He has endured sacrifices for America that most of us cannot begin to imagine. We are better off for the service rendered by this brave and selfless leader. I congratulate him. I congratulate Governor Palin for all that they've achieved, and I look forward to working with them to renew this nation's promise in the months ahead.
Jesse Jackson in the listening crowd, one of many to shed a tear as Obama paid a personal tribute to his own family.
I would not be standing here tonight without the unyielding support of my best friend for the last 16 years, the rock of our family, the love of my life, the nation's next First Lady, Michelle Obama. Sasha and Malia, I love you both more than you can imagine, and you have earned the new puppy that's coming with us to the White House. And while she's no longer with us, I know my grandmother's watching.
The whole world is watching as a new chapter is written.
It feels like America did the right thing. It feels like there's a shift in consciousness. It feels like something really big and bold has happened here. Like nothing ever in our lifetimes did we expect this to happen.
Jesse Jackson said Martin Luther King would approve.
Dr. King he would rejoice in America moving this far toward reconciliation.
For many, this was a result that meant so much more than politics.
Today is the day that my kids and my kids' grandkids are going to learn about in their government classes. They're going to be talking about this day forever.
Even his beaten opponent acknowledged the huge significance of Obama's victory and what it means to America that this man can stand where he does today. Paul Davis, ITV News.
So let's take a look at how the results stand as we speak. Well, with 49 of the 51 states in, Barack Obama has 349 electoral college votes. John McCain has just 162. How did it all happen? Well, the tipping point came just before 2:30 this morning, 9:30 in the evening here, when Obama won the first of the big swing states, Ohio. The result showed which way the countrywide vote was heading. Obama sealed the deal 1.5 hours later when polls along the West Coast closed. Wins in Oregon, California and Washington state gave him enough electoral votes to break the 270 threshold needed to become the next president of the United States. But it didn't end there. Minutes later, Obama claimed another victory, the state of Virginia, a state once home to the slave trade, where just 4 decades ago, Obama's parents' mixed-race marriage would have been deemed illegal. His win there showed exactly how Americans were voting for change. So a disappointing night for John McCain, but his concession speech was a reminder, if needed, of the qualities which took him so close to the White House. He called on his supporters to get behind the new president and hailed the result as an end to the bigotry of America's past. For the Republican war hero, though, this fight proved to be one battle too far, as Neil Connery reports.
The old soldier knew he'd lost the battle, but when the hour came, John McCain conceded with grace and dignity and was determined to make sure his supporters did too.
The American people have spoken, and they have spoken clearly. A little while ago, I had the honor of calling Senator Barack Obama to congratulate him, to congratulate him on being elected the next president of the country that we both love. In a contest as long and difficult as this campaign has been, his success alone commands my respect for his ability and perseverance.
With an eloquence almost matching the new president-elect, the defeated Republican candidate noted the historic nature of America's choice.
This is an historic election, and I recognize the special significance it has for African Americans and for the special pride that must be theirs tonight. I've always believed that America offers opportunities to all who have the industry and will to seize it. Senator Obama believes that too.
After a bruising campaign, Senator McCain was also determined to send out a message of unity.
These are difficult times for our country, and I pledge to him tonight to do all in my power to help him lead us through the many challenges we face.
He also paid tribute to his running mate, Sarah Palin.
One of the best campaigners I have ever seen, and an impressive new voice in our party for reform and the principles that have always been our greatest strength.
From NBC News, Decision 2008, Election Night.
A very important hour has arrived in this election with the 8 o'clock hour here in the East, and a big prize for the Democrats in their pursuit of the presidency. Barack Obama is being awarded Pennsylvania by this network.
It was clear from the start that this was going to be Obama's night. The key battleground states he targeted delivered for the Democrats. A huge turnout across the nation that also helped to ensure his victory. Towards the end of the night, he crossed the line of 270 electoral college votes needed to send him on his way to the White House. And so, with that, John McCain prepared to leave the stage.
And I call on all Americans, as I have often in this campaign, to not despair of our present difficulties, but to believe always in the promise and greatness of America, because nothing is inevitable here. Americans never quit. We never surrender. We never hide from history. We make history. Thank you, and God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you all very much.
But history will record another as the 44th President of the United States. Neil Connery, ITV News.
Well, our correspondents have been up all night following the results, witnessing history. Our international editor Bill Neely is in Phoenix, Arizona. But first to Robert Moore in Chicago, where the celebrations, I'm sure, haven't stopped yet. Robert, the American people couldn't have been clearer, could they? They want change.
Well, that's right. I mean, this was not a Reagan-style tidal wave, not a landslide, but it was, I think, without a shadow of a doubt, a clear and decisive mandate. We saw here last night at this park in Chicago several 100,000 people celebrating. We saw that also across the streets of American cities as well. But scratch the surface of that, and perhaps it was celebration rather than jubilation, because I think there is a gnawing recognition amongst most Americans that that expectations for Barack Obama are really wildly, perhaps impossibly high. Also that they're waking up this morning and this is still a country prosecuting 2 wars and facing a deep and possibly a lasting recession. Now, Barack Obama has just got 76 days before he takes office, before his inauguration, and obviously he must plan the transition, he must hit the ground running. But even his critics are saying that while he thinks of all that, no one should take away from the fact that he has now enjoyed a stunning personal and political journey.
All right, Robert, thanks very much indeed for that. Let's join Bill now in Arizona. And Bill, so where are we? A stunning rejection, I suppose, of all things Republican, and McCain suffered.
Yes, and that's what a lot of voters told me over the last 2 weeks. We've just had enough after 8 years of the Republicans we want to change. So in a sense, history dealt John McCain a very difficult hand. There was an unpopular president and there were 2 wars. Perhaps the fundamentals of this election were set a long time ago. Then came September the 15th. Remember, John McCain was level in the polls at that point. Lehman Brothers filed for bankruptcy. John McCain said the fundamentals of this economy are sound, and off he went to Washington to try and be an honest broker, but he knows little about economics. He said that himself. And after that, he never recovered in the polls. So he said last night, I too made mistakes. I put my hand up and take the blame. So yes, he was dealt a difficult hand, but he made his own mistakes.
All right, Bill, thank you very much indeed. I'll be back later in the programme, much more from here. But for now, it's back to Alastair and Katie in London.
Mark, thanks very much indeed. So the world's most powerful nation has made its choice. But what happens in America has consequences for the rest of the world.
George Bush leaves behind him a legacy of international distrust, an often disastrous foreign policy and soaring unpopularity. Well, our political editor, Tom Bradby, is in Downing Street. Tom, how will things change for us during an Obama presidency?
Well, I think, Katie, in all kinds of ways is the truth. The interesting thing, actually, first off, is that neither political party has great links with Barack Obama. The Tories had good links with McCain. The Labour Party actually had pretty good links with Hillary Clinton. So they're both today very clearly in the Commons scrabbling to get a piece of his mantle.
I read this morning that the Prime Minister has sent a message to the President-elect. Presumably it wasn't, "This is no time for an office."
What I said was that serious times needed serious people. Once again, he's proved he's not serious.
Now, of course, he has a massive in tray, a lot of which affects us. The economy, clearly, what happens in America will have an impact on us. Many other tricky issues. For example, he's made it clear he wants to disengage from Iraq, which he considers the wrong war, and to pile more heavily into Afghanistan, which he considers the right one. Already today, you've had Russia saber-rattling a bit about the proposed missile shield. He's going to have to deal with that. But I think what we shouldn't miss today is that there is a really golden opportunity here. It's hard to recall any American president in recent memory anyway, coming to power with such a wave of goodwill around the world and on such a clear message of wanting to change America's position in the world. That potentially opens up all kinds of opportunities to deal with problems differently. Iran, for example, and its nuclear ambitions, and also, crucially, the Middle East peace process, even the environment. Loads and loads of opportunity, perhaps a historic opportunity.
Tom Bradby, thank you.
And it's not just America which has been the scene of celebrations overnight.
The people in a tiny village in Kenya have been following this election closer than most. Kogelo is home to Barack Obama's surviving grandmother, Sarah.
And Juliet Bremner is there today. A great day of pride for them as well.
That's absolutely right. We may be 7,000 miles away from Washington, but the tiny village of Kogelo here in Kenya sees this victory very much as its own. They were never really doubting that he could win. They stayed up here all night, but when confirmation came, there was a spontaneous outburst of joy. They danced round this park with chairs above their head, and then they wanted to go down to the family homestead. That's where the Obama family still live, where Barack Obama's father was raised, and there they were met by his 86-year-old grandmother, Mama Sarah, who has become something of a celebrity here in Kenya. She seemed to shed her years and any fatigue she may have felt, and she joined them to party, promising that there would be a roast bull for everyone tonight. Then after that, there was also celebrating in the streets of Nairobi, in the slums of Nairobi, because this is seen as a Kenyan victory, and they believe it bestows, as you said, great pride on their nation.
Juliet, thank you very much.
A reminder of our main stories is lunchtime, and Barack Obama has won an historic US election. He was voted into power, the country's first black leader.
The start of a momentous new era in world politics was greeted with mass celebrations across the United States.
And the man he beat, Republican John McCain, said that after a long campaign, both parties would now work together.
And that's it from us for today.
Now it's back to Mark for a final thought on this historic moment for America.
Thanks very much indeed, Katie. And one last thought comes from today's New York Times. Here it is: Obama, racial barrier falls in decisive victory. And the columnist who says, so it came to pass that on November the 4th, 2008, the American Civil War ended. That's the way they're seeing it. Let's go to Arizona, back to Arizona, and our international editor, Bill Neely. Bill, you followed 4 US elections, I think, but this one must have a very different feel indeed.
I think it beats them all. The first one was 1992 when the torch passed to a new generation, Bill Clinton beating George Bush Sr., the World War II generation passing away. This is clearly generational change as the Vietnam era generation, if you like, falls away. It's a new political era, clearly, because the South has voted with a Democrat in overwhelming numbers. In Virginia, for example, it's a racial change, quite clearly. It's probably an economic and intellectual change as the Reagan-Thatcher era fades away. But what a night. It was a bit of a wake here, but what celebrations all over America here on this bright morning.
All right, Bill Neely, thank you very much indeed. That's it for now. I'm back again at 6:30 for more on a day when America showed it was ready for change, a day when its people chose hope over experience, and a day when the civil rights movement celebrated its greatest moment.
I have a dream.
If there is anyone out there who still doubts that America is a place where all things are possible, who still wonders if the dream of our founders is alive in our time, who still questions the power of our democracy, tonight is your answer.
The American people have spoken, and they have spoken clearly. This is an historic election, and I recognize the special significance it has for African Americans.
Free at last! Free at last! Thank God Almighty! We are free at last!
Yes, madam, and that price includes the no claims discount. Can we sort that out?
ITV National Weather, sponsored by eShore.
Hello there, very good afternoon to you. It is going to be largely dry for the Guy Fawkes Night celebrations through tonight. A cloudy